In this video I'm gonna cover variable scope and passing by value versus passing by reference, which is to do with functions. So I'm gonna create a new file in the functions folder and call it index2. And first I'll just have a comment and say variable scope. Okay, so variable scope is the realm in which the variable exists or in which it can be seen or accessed, which is usually the closest pair of curly braces it is in. So for example, if you define a variable inside of a function, you will not be able to access that variable outside of the function. And in the same way, if you define a variable outside of a function, you will not be able to use that variable inside of the function. You can pass it as an argument, but you cannot really use it inside of the function. There is a way, but it doesn't work just like so. Okay, so let's say I have a function here called test. And now in here, if I have a variable called x and say x is 10, I cannot access this x now outside of the function. So if I say echo x here and I run this, I get a notice here, undefined variable. PHP doesn't see this variable here because it exists only in the function scope inside of these curly braces. Okay, and in the same way, if I have another variable here called y equal to 10, and I'm gonna comment this out, I cannot say here echo y and have this y refer to this y. Just like so. That's not gonna work. So if I run this, actually I didn't call the function. So if I run this, I get a notice here again, undefined variable, because once again PHP doesn't know what this y is. Okay, it's defined here and it doesn't exist inside of the function scope. But you can pass this as a parameter. That's not a problem. So if I have some variable here called x, let's say, and I say here echo x, and then I pass y in here, which is this y, then it's gonna work because this isn't inside of the function. Now I get 10. Okay, it might seem a bit tricky if this is the first time you're seeing this, but it really does make sense. So just play around with the different possibilities and you'll get the hang of it. And I said you cannot use this variable instead of a function, just like so, but there is a way, and that's by using the keyword global. So I'm gonna have a variable here called test or int, let's say, and that's gonna be equal to 3. And I'm gonna have a function here called test2. And now I want to have access to this variable inside of the function. How do I do that? As I just showed you, just doing, for example, echo int is not gonna work. But you can use the keyword global. So I can say here global int. And now this variable is gonna refer to this variable. This variable is this variable actually. Okay, so now if I call test2, I should get a 3. And I do here. Let me just have a br here. Okay, and run this again. So there it is, the 3. Next thing I want to show you is passing by value versus reference. So I'm gonna say here passing by value versus reference. So what is value and what is reference? Value refers to the actual value of the variable and not the variable itself. So if you change that value, the original variable will not be affected. And if you pass a variable by reference, you're actually passing that same variable. So if you change that variable value inside the function, let's say, then that variable is actually going to be changed. And to actually show you what I mean, because this probably doesn't make any sense, I'm gonna have a variable here and call it Bob. Okay, and I'm gonna have a function called hello, and I'm gonna pass a name in here, and I'm gonna echo out hello name. So now when I call that function hello, and I can pass the variable in here, name, I get hello Bob, and I need another br here. And so when I just pass a variable like so in a method, it's passed by value. The variable is not changed. So if I say in here now, if I add after this echo, name is equal to Sally, let's say, and I run this again, I still get hello Bob. And I'm actually gonna change this name to some name, just so it makes more sense. Okay, so I'm passing this name variable in here, and then I'm echoing it out, and then I'm changing that variable here. So when I say here hello name, I still get hello Bob, even though I said that whatever is in here, which is this name in this case, should be Sally. But it's not Sally, it's Bob. So let me just echo it out again, hello name. And I get hello Bob. And just let me have a br in here. But I can pass this by reference, this variable. So it will actually refer to the variable that is passed. It's not gonna be just its value, but the variable itself. And you do that with an ampersand, like so. Okay, so check it now. If I run this, first I get hello Bob, and then I get hello Sally. I change the value of the name variable inside of the function, and it sticks. It actually is changed. And now, from here on out, name will be equal to Sally. So if I say here again, echo br name, and let me just say here, let's say check in again, and just semicolon there, and I run this again, it's still Sally. Okay, so once again, passing by value, which is the default, is just passing the value of the variable. So you do have a variable name here, for example, in this case. It is this variable, but you just pass in the value. If you don't have this ampersand for the reference, this name is the same as just passing, for example, Bob. Okay? But if you pass by reference with the ampersand, then you actually refer to the variable itself, not just its value. And if you change it, then it's actually changed, which is the same as if I changed it here, outside of the function. Name equals Sally, let's say. Okay, and I didn't even have this function. That would be the equivalent of doing this. So that's the difference between passing by value versus reference. It's very important, and you should understand this, and if you don't, play around with it a bit and you will. Okay, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.